Hello. Today I'm sitting down with Jake Goodwin. He's a neurology resident at the Mayo Clinic and a former participant in Whole Human Challenge. So it's good to see you, Jake.
Good to see you too, Isaac.
How
Thanks
have
for
you
the call.
been?
I've been pretty good. I've been
That's
pretty good.
that's awesome. So today I want to grill you about Whole Human Challenge and your experience in it. Um, you were one of my first participants, so thank you for that. But just like before we get into it, I want to give everybody a little overview of what Whole Human Challenge is. It's a 7-week Catholic program aimed at being fully alive and focuses on integrating physical well-being, psychological well-being, and spiritual well-being. So building a life that's good for you while maintaining a vision of life being fully alive and full of like joy and excitement and adventure. So that's the quick vision of the program. What was your experience of the program, Jake?
It was it was some of all of that. I think the first thing that comes to mind when I think of what it was like doing it was it called out a higher attention in me. Um and that's been something I've been thinking a lot more about recently and have been struck more by is the beauty of life that's in front of me if I pay attention to it. Um Often I think we're told that you have to make your life great by adding things or doing things a certain way. But really, I think this was your emphasis in the program, and it's something that has stayed with me that actually, if I'm just attentive, life reveals itself. Um, and I think I was also just called on by and a big reason why I wanted to do the program in the first place was what you said about you can have a vision that your life can be so much greater than what we settle for. And I just remember being so struck by that. Like,
Yeah,
whoa, I want that. And if if what you're proposing can be a gateway to that, then I'm all in.
that's beautiful. And like I I'm glad you brought this up because there's a kind of you're holding both at the same time, an attentiveness to the present, like what's going on in front of you, and a vision of life being great. I think so often we separate those two, or we say life being great means I have to strive for a different life in some future time. Versus if I'm just attentive to my life now, that means I'm settling. Whereas you're proposing that it's actually the opposite, that like being present and more engaged in my life now actually brings out greater fullness.
Hmm. Yeah, and I remember I think one of the most striking things about the whole human challenge that I think incorporated both of those was when we did a body scan. And I remember you having us go through the different parts of our body and spending time like, okay, thinking about my feet. What have my feet done for me today? Like, what are the things that
Yeah.
my feet have, how they've served me? And I remember getting to my hands and thinking about my hands. And I was brought to tears thinking about the moments that I had used my hands to like
Yeah.
care for my child or touch a patient at work, or it just moved me to tears. Like I have these hands that I I just go about my day and I'm just doing stuff. And but then you sit and realize like I've been given these instruments and praise God, like they're used for good.
Yeah.
Um, and so like through an attention to that, I see like actually my whole body is oriented towards a higher good that um yeah, I could see if I pay attention to it.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I actually remember specifically talking to you about that.
Mm.
um yeah. So was there anything before you signed up for the program that you were hesitant about or that was holding you back?
Um, I think the common thing is always the commitment. Like we all struggle with commitment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do another thing and pay for another thing and make time for this. We're all busy. Like we all can, like use busyness as a reason to not do anything. I think there was also, though, for me, um, an acceptance that if if I were to say yes to something like this, I would be admitting that I'm not as much as I
Yeah.
could be, which is hard
Yeah.
because I'm very self-sufficient and I can be prideful. And I think I've prided myself on not needing help with a lot of things in life. And so to say yes to a program like this made me accept that even if, okay, maybe I'm fine, maybe I'm not a complete wreck, but I'm not as much as I could be. There's
Yeah.
more that is within me that could be realized. And there's a certain level of humility that comes with that.
That's beautiful. I've never thought about it that way, but I think it's actually super relevant to what a lot of people experience of just like,
Mhm, mhm.
wait, I should be able to figure this out.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
why do I need
yeah,
this random Isaac guy to tell me what to do?
yeah. No, it's true. Like I know how to live a full life. I know how to be fully alive. I shouldn't need new. I mean, that's totally true.
Yeah. So then what actually convinced you? So there was the time commitment, the money commitment, the pride part that's all holding you back. What actually convinced you to do it then?
I think two things. I think desire, um, and a trust of you. Like I've had the the grace of being your friend and seeing how you live and the way you approach your work. And so I trusted you. Um, but also, and I think this is then relevant for anyone who doesn't, because I'm sure there are people who've done your program that don't know you. For me, there was also just the desire was too great. Like when I was put in front of this proposal, like you could be more than you are. Life could be more than it is. It is more than you think it is. Um, if I looked at that long enough, I couldn't I couldn't ignore it. Like it was an invitation to a fuller life that
Yeah.
um, are you gonna get on the horse or not? Like
Yeah.
it's leaving, it's going on an adventure. Do you want to come or not?
I love that. Because at that time you was like, did you have three kids or two kids at that time? Was that
I
third one?
think we had maybe just had our third. I can't remember exactly when it was, but I think we had just had our third.
I think that's right. So you just had your third kid, um, and you're a resident at Mayo Clinic. So life is busy, and there's just a lot already on you. But there was some sense that, but this could be more. Um, and I think always with that, there's like this could be more for me, but that me living more life actually can be good for my family too. Um, so then you jumped into Whole Human Challenge. How did that work with being so busy, being a resident, having a new baby, three kids? Like how did the challenge fit with life at that point?
Mhm. There was definitely a combination of things like because there was a practical piece where I think I wasn't able to make every meeting. Like I had work duties that I just wasn't able to make everything. So there were times that I would watch your content sessions um, on YouTube later. Um, or I think there were times if I had to miss some of the group sessions, I would speak to maybe individual people later to catch me up. So there were practical things for me with my schedule that I couldn't practically make everything. Um, there were also times though that like I was home um, and I could still participate. Like I remember I'd be watching the kids um, and my wife Sammy would be sleeping or doing something or and I was still able to be with the kids and have the Zoom link on. And even if it meant I didn't participate as 100% fully because I was my attention was divided, I was still able to be there. Um, and that always felt like a welcome. Obviously, I would have loved to just be fully attentive and participant, but but the setting was such that I could come as I was,
Yeah.
um, and bring whatever I had that day.
Nice. Okay, so two more questions. This next one's a double question. Was it worth it? Did you get what you wanted out of the program? Because you were drawn by promise. It's like there's more life. There's more life for you, Jake, in your busy life. Um, and that's a big promise. Did you get what you were looking for?
Yeah, yeah, I did. In some ways, I got what I didn't know I was looking for, I think, because I didn't really know. I think I went in with just this desire, yeah, desire for more, desire for fullness. And it's like, well, what does that really mean? What do I actually want from this? I don't know. I want more. Um, but I get in that sense, I got more than what I knew I was looking for because, um, yeah, mostly because of this attention to the particular and the way that the sacred and the divine becomes incarnate. Like another thing, like I mentioned, the example of the hands, and I still think about that to this day when I work and when I take care of my kids. And um, another thing was the the mind. I remember the mindful eating we did, and I ate a piece of orange, and that was another moment where like I eat multiple times a day. Um, Even in this thing that we've come to just treat as like a necessary thing to nourish my body, like even in this, there can be a moment of encounter to encounter like a sense of gratitude for my food and an awe in front of my food. Um, and the other thing was silence. Your emphasis on silence um, is something I still like. I fight against every day, like the temptation to just be plugged into audio
Yeah.
and video things all the time. But so yeah, I totally I got what I was looking for and more. Um, and have been given a way of looking at life that even if I don't adhere to it perfectly,
Yeah.
I don't continue to do all the practices by any means, but yeah, seeds were planted that have continued to
Yeah.
fruition now 2+ years, I think, since I last did it.
That's amazing. Yeah, and one thing that I really try to cultivate with the approach is that sense of like gentleness and just respect for yourself of just being like, okay, you're at the life you're you've got all the life that you are in. There's so much going on. Like do what you can now. Um, don't do everything 100% perfectly. Do the things you can actually do and participate in those. And so I think that's just a mindset that I've used a lot to help me because there's the opposite where it's just like I need to do it perfectly or I don't do it at all. I need to do it perfectly or I don't do it at all. Whereas like if you have more of that gentle honoring approach of like, yeah, I want to continue to push towards a fuller life and to receive more life, but I'm gonna also forgive myself and be gentle with myself. That allows me to move forward within my own faults.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think, and I've been struck by the the two hands of God of justice and mercy in that regard too. Like
Hmm.
mercy says you're good as you are, like I'll take you as you are, but like justice says like in a sense is like the fatherly hand of encouragement, like you also are made for more and I'm going to
Yeah.
treat you for with an attention to what you can become. So I think that balance you strike
Yeah.
is perfect.
That's awesome. Okay, so last question. If you were to just say something directly to people who are considering the program but are on the fence, and maybe it's one of those reasons, time, money, I don't actually need Isaac's help, any of those things, what would you say to them?
I think I would just, similar to what we've been saying this conversation, um life is so great, like it's so great. I just had my birthday yesterday, and so it's always this occasion to remember the gift of life. um And I'm also always struck. So my birthday falls on the feast of the Triumph of the Cross.
Mm.
And it's like the best. I don't know. I'm biased, but I think it's the best birthday. It's the best day to have a birthday because the minute I'm tempted to think that like my birthday is about me and I can't wait for everybody to honor me and celebrate me, like the minute I think of that, the church recalls me to like actually life is about the cross. And
Mm.
as Catholics, like we lift up the cross. And this is so much of life is our small sharing in that cross. Um and it is a suffering, but I don't know. The small ways that I've been given small sufferings in life and been able to face them and embrace them. Um, it's a route to an immense adventure. And I think that's the way I think of that I want to think of my life is that it's an adventure. It's an
Mhm.
unbelievable adventure that I can only realize if I leave the Shire, if I get on the horse, like it's
Yeah,
waiting for you and you have to say yes and you have to take a risk, but you'll you'll never know what you're saying no to.
beautiful. Okay, Jake, you're amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to
You're
talk.
amazing. I think. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's just good to see your face. So I'll
Likewise.
I'll see you soon, okay?